their presentation title is Waving Your Horse's Troubles Goodbye.
All right, let us know when we can begin. Imagine improving your horse's performance and recovery with just a pulse. My name is Krista Duncan.
And I'm Hannah Williamquist.
We are from Stevens County, Minnesota, and today we are going to be telling you about PEMF and specifically MagnaWave. In today's speech, we are going to tell you about the history of PEMF, how PEMF works, what a session will look like, and we're even going to touch on how you can start your own business in MagnaWave. So get ready to wave your horse's troubles goodbye. Now Hannah Lillienquist is going to tell us about the history of PEMF.
Before we get started with that, you might be wondering, what on earth does PEMF stand for? Well, let me tell you. P is for pulse, E is for electro, M for magnetic, and F for fault. So it's pulse electromagnetic field therapy. So now into the history. Way back in time, like I'm talking 1400 BC, so long time ago. The Chinese, French, Hindus, and Swiss all found these really interesting rocks. You may be like, oh, it's just a rock, what's so special, right? Actually, this is a very special rock. It's called a lodestone, and it has magnetic properties. They didn't know that yet, but it does, and they actually get their magnetic properties from being struck by lightning. So in the certain regions of where these people lived, they happened to have high areas of lightning where they would be able to find a lot of these stones. They didn't know what was up with these stones yet, but they were using them for medicinal properties such as acupuncture and the treatment of diarrhea and hemorrhaging and other digestional issues. For many years, chemists and physicists tried to understand what exactly was going on with these rocks. They thought it could be electricity, and then they were starting to think magnetism, but they weren't really even sure what the difference between those two were. So then, this one guy comes along, and it's pretty obvious who it's going to be. It's going to be Einstein, right? Because if it's anything science related, it's always Einstein, right? So he was the one who actually was able to define the difference between electricity and magnetism. And that was groundbreaking work, because he was the one who realized that these are magnetic properties of the rocks. Then, who else but Tesla comes in, and he invents the first magnetic loop coil, which you can see here, where it harnesses the electricity and changes it into magnetism, which is groundbreaking. And they started using these technologies in the early 1970s on racehorses first. They were the very first PEMF technology to be used, was on racehorses, since they have very common leg injuries as part of their exercise and the work that they do. So they started using this technology to help heal those, and their results were amazing. It was incredible. Everyone was like, what in the world is this? This is doing so good. So Dr. Andrew Bassett was this doctor who specialized in special kind of fractures called non-union fractures. And he realized that maybe we can use this technology to help heal these. Now, non-union fractures are fractures that have very jagged edges. As you can see here, it's not a clean cut. Normally, you would have to fix this with invasive surgery. And invasive surgery always means there's a risk for not only infection, but other complications. So anything we can do to avoid that is awesome. So Dr. Andrew Bassett was the one who first tried PEMF on bones that are broken like this and other types of breaks, and he was the one who used it not only in humans, but in all kinds of livestock and pets and just all across the board, making some really groundbreaking discoveries and work. And since then, PEMF has just continued to grow in all of the different fields of medicine. There are multiple companies now that use this technology, such as MagnaWave, and where you can buy your own machines and do this own technology yourself or possibly through a practitioner. And now, Krista is going to tell you just exactly how PEMF works.
So you might be sitting there wondering, how are these rings actually doing anything? According to Science Direct, PEMF influences cellular behavior by inducing electrical changes around and within the cells. These boxes, this is a Soul Pro, but there are other brands that you can get it from, are either plugged in, like this one, or are battery powered. are used to treat a variety of ailments in the horse, like as Hannah said, a non-union fracture, but it can also be used to treat arthritis, inflammation, and it can even relieve some of the symptoms of colic. There are a few very mild side effects that can occur, and if you're getting anything other than very mild side effects, you should have your practitioner reevaluate the setting that your horse was worked on, because it could be too high of a setting. These side effects that could occur are dizziness and a temporary increase in pain. There are 6 different loops that will come with the Soul Pro when you buy the business bundle from MagnaWave. The first one, on your top left, is the butterfly loop. This is also the loop that is shown right here. As you can see, it's 2 separate loops that are combined right here. These are really good because it's smaller, so it can get into the joints and hard to reach places better. Every single one of these rings is going to send 16 inches of energy through both ends of the ring. The smaller the ring, the more concentrated the energy is going to be on the horse. So the next loop is the large loop. Of course, this is a bigger loop because it's the large loop, so it has more surface area to cover and therefore has less concentrated energy. The third one is the zoom paddle. This is about this big, so it's the smallest loop we have. This is really good for getting into the really hard nooks and crannies or the joints to get to. And because it is the smallest, it has the most concentrated energy. The fourth one is the Mag Energy mat. And this is a mat that lays on the floor, or you can, if you're a person, you can sit on it, or however you want to use it, and the horse will step onto the mat, and the energy is going to go up the legs 16 inches. So that means that this can be really, really beneficial for horses who have laminitis or navicular disease. This mat is approximately 1 foot by 2 feet, so it's kind of the size of a corgi laying down. The lasso is the 5th loop. This is the largest loop, and because it's so big, it can cover lots of surface area at once, so it's really good for just a general overview of the horse. And the last one is the wave wings. And very similar to our butterfly loop, it is 2 separate loops that are conjoined together here, except it's much bigger. It's about the size of the lasso, and there's 2 of them, so it can lay over the top line of the horse. So now that I have told you about how PEMF works, Hannah is going to tell us what a session looks like and how you can start your own business with MagnaWave.
When Krista and I were first researching our project, we didn't really know where to start, so we called up our very dear friend, Jordan Subin. Jordan runs her own business called Beyond Performance, in which she uses MagnaWave technology to work on not only horses, but also humans, livestock, and pets. Jordan got certified with MagnaWave about 1.5 years ago. Through her certification, she got the business model, which included the certification, the machine, which is a Soul Pro, and the 6 different attachments that Krista just told us all about. The training was about 20 hours, and it is renewable every year for $150, which you can do either online or in person. As you can see here with this specific machine and on the picture, this is a Soul Pro machine. This is most commonly used since it is small and mobile. You can adjust the settings in which you work on the animal, or specifically horse, with the arrows, which there are 12 different settings, and horses commonly get worked on between a 4 and a 6. Though it really depends, especially because if you're working on like the leg, for instance, there's more bone there, so you can do a higher power. Because if you're going through more muscle, you need to go lower power. So for legs, you can work on to up to like a 10 or 11, maybe even a 12. But in most regions of the body, they're going to take more to 4 to 6. But it all depends on the animal and how they react. So here we have Jordan actually doing a session on this lovely horse named Drifter. She is using the large loop right now. Right now, Drifter isn't necessarily antsy per se, but he's attentive, he's heads up, he's looking around, and you're going to see throughout the video, he's going to relax significantly. This is super common among MagnaWave sections. Right now, Jordan is working in the front or right quarter of the horse. Jordan likes to spend about 10 minutes on each quarter of the horse and 5 minutes on the legs, resulting in a session of 45 minutes long. You don't want to like hold the loop in one area at the same time, so you can see she's slowly moving it. But you may want to spend more special attention to a certain area where there could be injury or illness. But right now, Drifter doesn't have any injuries, so this is just an overall general wellness session. But if your horse has an abscess you're trying to pull or something, you're going to want to spend more of your time focusing on that area. You could do up to 2 sessions a day, actually. You need about 6 hours between each session. And you can do them every day also, though it is not recommended you do it every day for an extended period of time, because your horse can begin to rely on it. But it is totally a beneficial thing to be doing it multiple times every day if you're trying to do a specific thing, like your horse broke a bone or something. You want to focus on that very intensely, but you want to, after a couple weeks, stop doing it so frequently so your horse doesn't rely on it so much. Right now, Drifter, he's getting the hoof cock going on, he's eating, he's relaxed. This is super, super common. He might even get drowsy. And usually this relaxation and drowsiness will last maybe up to a day or 2 afterwards. But some horses get kind of excited and more energized as this happens, because maybe they weren't feeling too good before, and now that they're feeling good, they're like, oh, let's go, let's do it, you know? So it really depends on the different situation, but most horses will become relaxed. But if you see excessive muscle tremors, that indicates that you have found an area of high pain, or that you're working at too high of a load. So you might want to reduce the setting in which you are using, or possibly you're going to have to do other sorts of treatments for that area, and maybe you need to even consult a veterinarian. But all this can be told to you by your practitioner. If they feel like there is a certain area that needs to be checked out to the vet, they will be able to tell the signs and let you know. So now that I have told you all about this and how you can start a business, Krista is going to tie it all together for us.
So, now you guys know how you guys can wave your horse's troubles goodbye with MagnaWave. We recommend that you go and see your local practitioner. If you don't know who your local practitioner is, we have some cards here that have a QR code. This will take you to the MagnaWave website where you can find who your local practitioner is. There's a few other resources we have up here as well. For example, this poster has a general overview of a lot of the things that MagnaWave can be used for. This also has a lot of resources in it. It is specifically for show cattle, though, and other show animals. This is a discount if you guys want to go ahead and start your own business in MagnaWave. And this is a magazine that has a lot of different resources and lots of different news, including stuff about racehorses, osteoporosis in dogs, and if you want to really get into it, this is an awesome thing to read. So today, we have told you about the history of PEMF, how PEMF works, what a session of PEMF will look like, and we've even touched on how you can start your own business with MagnaWave. So now, you are ready to wave your horse's troubles goodbye. Here's a list of all the sources that we used today. We would like to give a special thank you to Jordan Supon, who is our largest source, because we got most of our information from her, as she is certified. We would also like to thank Cassidy and Jacqueline over at the farmers market, who let us borrow their Soul Pro and butterfly attachment. Do you have any questions for us? And thank you for your time.
Are there any conditions or scenarios when PEMF is contraindicated?
Yes, the question was, is there any conditions or scenarios in which you would not like to be using MagnaWave? One very hot topic one is pregnancy. There's not a lot of research out there right now saying whether or not it is okay to do MagnaWave or any PEMF therapy when either the practitioner or the animal or human you're working on is pregnant. So right now, a lot of people, like Jordan, are abstaining from doing that because there just isn't enough research yet. Another areas where there isn't much research yet is when you have conditions such as high blood pressure and high blood sugar, because sometimes the overstimulation of blood circulation can even affect those in a negative way. So right now, a lot of practitioners are just abstaining from treating when they have these issues, since there is not quite enough research. Which is why this is such a great resource here, because this also includes the most recent research studies and the papers on them on how this affects different things. So it's good to keep up on it, because this is a new field that is changing constantly.
So you mentioned that for horses, the range usually, the setting is usually about 4 to 6, but you can go up to 12. How high does the range go? I mean, it's 4 to 6 out of 20 or 4 to 6 out of 12?
So, the question was, how high does the range go? And this machine, I think you misunderstood because we meant to say 4 to 6. And this machine in specific goes from 1 to 12. There are other machines that are bigger. The bigger the machine, typically the larger the company using that machine is. So this machine is 1 to 12. So this is a very general machine used for entry-level Magna waivers, but there's others that go to 24 and up. I think the highest is 36.
And what would you use those higher, I mean, again, if your treatment range is generally in 4 to 6, what would you use a 30 wave for?
Well, 4 to 6 is for horses because horses tend to not tolerate it as well. Actually, the horse I was in the video works on at a 2 because it really depends, but humans can tolerate much higher. And like I said, in areas of high bone where there's not as much muscle and tendons and stuff, those can be worked on at much higher rates because it won't go through, have to go through the muscle or anything, and it can just target right at the bone. So commonly you'll see those high areas in animals or people that can tolerate it more, but it really depends a lot on just personal toleration of it.
I actually did the Magna Wave over there yesterday. They were very nice and very informative on what was going on. We do use it on our horses, but I don't. We have somebody that comes and does that. But when they were doing that on me, and she's like, okay, we're gonna turn it up a little bit, and I'm like, whoa, that's a little high. I mean, because I could really feel the pulse. How can you tell when a horse, when it's too, like, what is the signal for a horse when it's too high?
So the
Because I
question,
could say it was too high.
the question was, how can you tell if the horse is being worked at too high of a setting? Of course, horses can't talk to us, but if you see the horse stepping away or there's muscle tremors, that might indicate that your horse is at too high of a setting. In extreme cases, the horse may try and really get away or push you away to try and evade the pressure.
It's also helpful to have the owner nearby because the owner knows the horse the best and can tell you if they really see that the horse is reacting negatively to it. And you always want to start at low settings and work your way up. You're not going to just absolutely crank it and then go down.
Yeah, they did that with me, and they got a little, I was like,
Yeah.